I'm Christian Scotland-Williamson, tight end for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and you're listening to the Cleats Off podcast by Liz Bhandari.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Cleats Off podcast. I'm your host Liz Bhandari and this is a show that brings you closer to the game you love. Today's guest is Christian Scotland-Williamson, former rugby union star and now tight end for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Christian and I talk about his life in Pittsburgh, where he is now versus our last giant in 2018 and what he's doing to fight for his spot on the team. Enjoy the show! Welcome to the show, Christian. How are you?
I am very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, we're obviously in very strange times at the moment, obviously with coronavirus. How are you finding it?
It's been challenging. Had some personal issues with both my parents contracting COVID-19, so that was a challenge in itself. But it was one of the positive stories, and they're doing much better now, so it's a huge relief, especially being this far away.
Yeah, definitely. That's it. It's really hard when you can't be there. So yeah, I'm glad to hear they're on the road to recovery. That's really good.
No, definitely. It makes my life a lot easier, especially being so far away.
Yeah, God, absolutely. Now, you and I, we first spoke in November 2018, which is crazy because it doesn't actually feel like that long ago.
So much has happened since then.
Oh my God, I know. It's so obviously at the time, you think you were only really a few months into your practice squad contract. So how's it all been going?
Oh, it's been amazing. I was actually speaking to one of the other international pathway guys yesterday, and so it was Jordan who got drafted by the Eagles. And it's so strange because rookie minicamp is this weekend, and it was only 2 years ago that we were both in our first ever football practices. But then now it's like we're kind of seasoned pros, we understand the system. It's become normal, and I think that's been the strangest thing, because when you look at it objectively, it's only been 2 years of playing a sport that people have been playing for their whole lives.
Yeah.
And yet you're now at a stage where it feels normal and it feels comfortable. So that was really comforting. And to think, that we only spoke in November 2018 when I was still definitely finding my feet, trying to put the right foot forward. A lot has changed since then. I'm definitely a lot more comfortable, a lot more confident within my surroundings and with the system.
Oh, good. And so from what I understand, you're on a reserve future contract. So I guess that means you're fighting for a spot on the squad. Now, obviously, you've got this experience under your belt now, so you know what to expect. How would you say that your mindset's differed, and what do you feel you need to do in order to take that next step?
It's a huge mind shift, because in that first year, you don't understand what's coming your way. You don't really understand football. You don't understand what it's like living in another country for starters. That's my first time living abroad. So a lot of kind of life stress thrown at you, as well as football stress, new job, and you're playing at the highest level. Then going into year two, that kind of went away, where I knew my surroundings, knew my environment, was comfortable with the system. And it was my second year playing football, but it wasn't until I think probably in the September. So I think I had a very good off-season camp into training camp. But then it was after, I think, week 4 of the season, things really started clicking. I started making more plays in practice, and I wasn't as kind of stressed going into practice or in my execution, because things started feeling more natural. Whereas in that first year, I really had to concentrate to just step with the right foot, because it was so foreign to me to have that level of detail and prescription with my movements. So that was a huge advantage for me in that second year. And then now, having had my second off season under my belt and being able to break down the playbook even more, just filled with confidence, because I know the system, and I know what's expected of me and what I'll need to do to win a job. And so now it's made me more comfortable, and almost how I was back when I was playing rugby, where it's now just solely on execution as opposed to upskilling myself just learning football. So it's definitely a much more confident position that I'm going to be approaching this season with.
That's good. And I guess, imagine you must be putting yourself through must be quite testing and a bit of a tiring time. Like, what motivates you and where do you find your inspiration?
So I'm a big family guy, huge family guy. That's pretty much my one and only motivation for everything I do in life. And it's got me through a lot of kind of challenges and adversity within my career and beyond. And so it's always that I came out here with a purpose, came out here with literally one suitcase and a dream 2.5 years ago. So what was that? January 2018. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's to come back having kind of made this a successful experience and become a fully fledged American football player. So whenever I'm having those kind of down days or a few dark days or things aren't really stacking up in terms of my practices, I have like one bad practice or something like that, I always remember why I'm here and the sacrifices and the sacrifice of time with my family and things like that. So that's really what kind of keeps me going and makes sure that I'm reminded of the reasons why I'm out here, and it makes it that bit more enjoyable as well, because you know there's only a moment in time. You can only be a professional athlete for so long, so you might as well make the most of it, and then having the love and support of my family back home makes it so much easier.
And is there anyone in the squad that you look up to, or that's kind of helping mentor you through all of this?
I've been so lucky with landing at my dream organisation. So I was a Steelers fan from my teenage years, and then to end up playing for them, especially having never played football before and been a rugby player, like it just doesn't really make sense to me still. But within that, the organisation has been so supportive, and the players in the locker room. So like for me in my tight end room, I've had Vance McDonald, Jesse James, Xavier Grimble, who really helped me out in that first year where I really didn't have a clue what I was doing, to be honest. And then, so being around those guys, as well as like Dave DeCastro, Alvin Nueva from the O-line, and Marquise Pouncey, like just having those guys to see what Pro Bowl and like all pro work ethic looks like and attention to detail, and have the opportunity to pick their brains occasionally at lunch. Has been huge for my development, because you have such high-level athletes around you. You can't help but raise your level to a level that is going to be so much better than it would be if you weren't surrounded by those guys.
Oh, and how's life living in Pittsburgh? Like, how much does that differ, I guess, from like what you used to back home?
It is different. I'll be honest. I'm a bit of a homebody as well, and so I'm not really out and about like adventuring too much. But so I kind of just train and then come home really most of the time. But I do really like it. A lot more space in London. But I played rugby for Worcester for 4 years, so that had a good amount of space there. But it's just more finding a good routine, a productive routine, and then really lucky, got great teammates that I like hanging out with. So keep it pretty low key, really.
Oh, and now, I obviously don't know about Pittsburgh, but like certainly in the UK, obviously being on lockdown, we're only allowed out for 1 hour a day exercise and that kind of thing. What's it like there, and like what is it you're doing to keep motivated? Because that's a tough one on its own. So I guess like what are you doing to kind of make sure that you're still in the physical shape that you need to be in?
It's definitely challenging with the stay-at-home order, because you can't go to the gym. So I spent last 6-ish weeks doing home workouts, bought an exercise bike to try and stay on top of my cardio. And I've been lucky because I've played rugby for so long, and then now have come and started as a professional football player. I've been able to develop really good habits. So I know what it takes to get myself in shape and to keep in shape. So it's not been terrible. It's just have to make some smart decisions, and then you just have to play with the hand you're dealt and understand that it's for the greater good and it's for people's safety that the lockdown's in place. So kind of just have to obey the rules, and then just hope that when things do open up again, that you're able to hit the ground running and you're not too far behind.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess in like normal circumstances, what would you tend to get up to in your downtime? Like, what kind of things do you enjoy?
A lot of reading. I read a lot. Yeah, I do a lot of reading, just because I'm a student of the game and a student of, I suppose, life really, because I like to learn. I just finished Mike Tyson's book. That was pretty intense. Enjoyed that thoroughly. But I just like learning about people who've done some rare feat or achieved those lofty heights of success in sport or business and careers. And I think that you can always learn from other people's experiences. So I tend to read a lot of kind of personal development books, biographies, and then like even everything I consume. I watch a lot of documentaries as well. So I'd probably say, yeah, that's what I spend the majority of my time doing if I'm not FaceTiming home and some of my friends. But because you're training for most of the day or watching film or doing things associated with football, it's only about 3 or 4 hours of the day, usually under normal circumstances, that you have to fill the time with leisure activities. So yeah, I usually try and be quite productive.
Yeah, I was going to say, most people would probably answer that with like, oh, play PlayStation or Xbox or...
I was talking to one of my college friends, my youth friends yesterday about it, because there's a few new consoles coming out, and I said to him that the last time I played Xbox was Xbox 360, my first year of uni, so 2011, I think. And since then, I haven't played, and I played one of my teammates at FIFA, and obviously being an English guy, I went 1-0 down at half time, and I just realised, yeah, this isn't for me anymore because I haven't played for so long, and I was like, I can't embarrass myself by losing really badly. So yeah, the whole console thing and gaming's gone for me now, I think.
Now let's talk about the International Player Pathway Programme. So last month, the NFL announced players kind of from around the world joining teams. So having been through that yourself, what advice would you offer to those people?
I actually had the chance to talk to them all the week before they found out where they were being allocated and what his vision was. And especially, this one thing I always tell them is that there are only, I think, 16 people who've been that route. So 16 people who come into the NFL at the highest level from various backgrounds, some of which have never played football before. This year's group had all had an understanding and played football in some capacity, so it wasn't exactly going in from ground zero. But the biggest thing I always said to them was understand that it's a very fortunate position that you're in, and people have been working their whole lives to get into an NFL facility, even into a practice. So don't take a single snap for granted, especially when things aren't going your way. You're not going to walk in and be the guy. Like, it's just never going to happen. And you need to work towards making yourself a better player and a better person from it, because in the last 2 years, I've learned so much about myself in terms of how I deal with adversity, how I deal with setbacks, and how you can kind of stare in the face of it and keep coming back for more and not get disenfranchised with it or forget why you're doing it. I think that's the biggest thing, because they'll be going up against the highest level of competition they've ever seen in their lives. Even if I compare this to when I was a professional rugby player, it's a completely different level. Just the expectation, the precision, the level of competition that's demanded on a daily basis. Like it's just not the same in other sports. I think that's what makes the NFL so unique, because it is that hard, it is that competitive, that when you have the opportunity to be part of an organization and take the field, you really are in a rare space, and you can't take that for granted, because you don't know how many more opportunities you're going to get.
Yeah, God, absolutely. And I guess when you look back at your journey, be it Worcester Warriors, here in the NFL, is there anything that you think you'd do differently?
I've been quite fortunate in that I don't really have many regrets in life. My route has been a circuitous, weird, very difficult route to get here. Like, I wasn't an academy prospect in rugby. Just went to uni, went to Loughborough, hoping to just play for fun, really. That's all I was doing. And then my phone rang one day in my final year in September, and I got a phone call that changed my life. Went down to Worcester, played for their reserve team, went back the next week, and then 3 weeks later signed a professional contract in the change room before my first team debut. So within 6 weeks, I went from having interviews with investment banks for grad schemes to playing professional rugby and knowing what I was going to do at the end of that year, and playing professional rugby throughout my final year of university, so things happened pretty quickly for me. So in that regard, like the only thing I suppose that could have happened differently was maybe I got seen a bit earlier, but I feel like I wouldn't have had the same breadth of experiences that I've been able to have to date in terms of just my personal life. Like I'm not someone that has only known sport, which has really been a blessing, because when times aren't going that well within sport, I'm able to have a different perspective, because I haven't been, my parents didn't put any pressure on me to be a professional athlete. No one thought I was going to be a professional athlete. It's all just stuff that I've done myself, which is a very unique space to be in, because a lot of people have that external pressure of, say, family, friends, expectation, all of that. Whereas for me, it was all just, I played for fun. I still play for fun, and that's my main driver. That's what I don't consider what I do work, really, because it's something that I've never thought I would have the opportunity to do. So I don't take it for granted, and I know it won't last forever. So I don't really have any regrets with that, and I wouldn't really have done anything differently, because if you had told me going into my last year of university, when I was just playing for the Loughborough first team, that I'd end up being a two-sport professional, as well as being able to go back to uni, get my master's as well, while playing at the same time, like I'd definitely take that. So don't really have any career regrets.
So you studying at the moment, or have you finished that now?
I'm always studying. I've always got something up my sleeve. I just get bored very easily. I think that's what I've realised. And it's so funny because I finished my undergrad and I said to Mum, right, that's me, I'm done, finished. And then I realised how much time, you have a lot more time as a professional rugby player than you do as a football player. Like when in season as a football player, you're pretty much 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. in the building is my routine. And then you go home, recovery, in bed by 9. Like you don't have time. And that's 6.5 days a week. Yeah. But you do have a long off season, so you can explore different things in that regard. But I just realized that, like I said, because I've always, even at school, you go to school, you play sports on the side. School's the work side, sports the fun break. And then it just got flipped because I started, my main kind of bread and butter was sport, but it still was my fun pastime. So I felt like I had so much more spare capacity to kind of take on some more, I suppose, mentally challenging tasks. So I'm always up to something.
It's always good to hear. You got to keep the brain sharp.
Exactly. You don't want it wasting away.
No, absolutely. Well, listen, it's been fascinating speaking to you. Like every time we talk, you just come across so passionate about it and just really calculated too, but in like a good way. So no, it's fascinating. I hope everything goes well for you, and best of luck with the season ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on again. It's been amazing.
Absolutely. Every time I speak to Christian, I'm just in total awe of him. What a cool guy and what a great story. I love that his downtime is him reading a book, learning from someone else's journey as a way to improve his. And I think that just goes to show how dedicated he is to all of this. Well, that's it for another episode of the Cleats Off podcast. As always, I'd love your comments and feedback, so feel free to reach out to me at NFL Girl UK across Twitter, Facebook or Instagram. And finally, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. I wouldn't want you to miss a single episode. So join me next time when I'll be speaking to Melissa Jacobs, founder and managing editor of thefootballgirl.com. Until then, thanks for listening.